30, 35 down the sidelines to the 40, makes a move to the 45, the 50, he's to the 40, he could go, he's at the 25, the 20, they dive at him, they miss him, he's in the end zone, touchdown!
Throws off his back foot, wide open man in the end zone, leaping grab, touchdown!
Launches the throw down toward the goal line, going up, ball tipped in the air, caught, touchdown!
Reverses his field, got a block from Pittman, going deep, got a man in the end zone, touchdown!
It's a man's game tonight now, you know that. Everybody watching tonight.
And now it's the Undefined Blitz with Chad and JC.
And welcome everybody once again to the Undefined Blitz right here on undefinedradio.com. Appreciate you guys and gals tuning in today as we're still talking about the foosball, getting ready for mini camps and summer camps and OTAs and all the other things that happen this time of year. We've had the draft. Off season is getting to be in full swing. I mean, preseason is coming up. So many things happening. It's that time of the year where they're getting ready. We got the XFL championships happening this weekend. USFL is in full bloom. I mean, there's football everywhere. Sometimes you just gotta look for it. Sometimes it's right in your face. I watched the game the other night, just sitting around. I've enjoyed the XFL. It's been unpredictable to say the least.
Once again.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I mean, it was really fun during 2020 before the pandemic shut it down.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. The quality of football wasn't that bad. Now, we've watched the team that we chose to support, the Arlington Renegades.
That's right.
Struggle their, I mean,
Very much so.
They struggle bust their way to the XFL championship game this weekend.
Did. At 4-6, all right.
At 4-6, they were the
4-6.
second best team in the South Division behind Houston. No one thought there was any chance they could beat Houston. Not only did they beat Houston 2 weeks ago, but they beat them down badly.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
And of course, on the other side of it, the team that everyone expected to be there, the DC Defenders, are there, the champions of the North. That game takes place, I think, this Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. DC's favored by a touchdown in that one.
I'm predicting at least 2 touchdown
victory for DC.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately,
look, the Renegades have a good defense. I mean, their defense hasn't been a problem.
The thing that'll help Arlington, in the sense that this could possibly help them, is that this game is played in San Antonio.
Yeah, maybe it'll help them.
Yeah, maybe. That's about the best chance that they got.
So, and I believe they announced their MVP for the season. And, dude, if I'm not mistaken, I know I saw this the other day. I believe they announced it was A.J. McCarron as the XFL MVP.
Yeah, I think I saw that as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure. I don't want to overstep here, but I believe that is true.
But what kind of tickled me about that is that A.J. McCarron's the MVP, but Jordan Ta'amu's the Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
They play the same position.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ta'amu's team was 9-1 in the regular season. So I mean, how is AJ McCarron the most valuable player because he kind of brought the most eyes?
Well,
the product,
and it could be that, or just could be from the simple fact that are the DC Fenders great because of one person, or is their whole team across the board better? And they're saying AJ McCarron played on a lesser team, and he was the one that helped elevate that team. And I would like to know what their thinking is. Yeah, between saying why is it this way?
They 100% have a super talented team. I think I want to say, as far as the offensive side of the ball, I think they led the league in all XFL team players. Yep. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think the Houston Roughnecks led all teams.
It's going to be I think it's going to be a massacre. I'm not going to lie.
Well, sadly, I am with you there.
I would love for it to be different, but I just don't think it's going to be what that is this weekend. We will certainly find out. So, the Rocks company is first full year as owner of this brand.
You know, I saw something yesterday that really disappointed me. So, week 1 of the season, there was The Rock and Danny Garcia live in front of the Arlington crowd for the very first XFL game of the season. He's wearing an Arlington Renegades jersey. I was like, all right, I see you, DJ. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this morning I wake up and, The Rock's posting pictures on Instagram of him working out in a DC Defender sweatshirt. So That's why we can't have nice things, man.
That's why. That's what happens. You try to do it, and then this is what happens.
Look, if the Cowboys aren't going to win a Super Bowl, I need the Renegades to win an XFL
I need
championship.
some football champions going on here in Texas because this is just get ridiculous at this point. It is ridiculous at this point.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, there hasn't been one in the state of Texas since what, the Longhorns back in 05?
yeah, it's been a long time.
An extensive drought.
And you're thinking from a state that big
And for
with that many professional teams.
and well, especially a state where football is king. Football is
Yes.
God. Football is bigger than everything in the state of Texas, and everything's bigger in the state of Texas.
Yep.
You know, so why can't they win
I
championships?
guess because they thought losing is the best thing they need to be bigger at in Texas because that's what it seems like is all one thing that's happening here.
It's like they gave up winning as long as they get eyes on the product.
Exactly. That's what it feels like.
And I think that's uniform between the NFL programs as well as the collegiate ones at that.
Let's talk about our so the draft happened while we were out
Yes.
last couple weeks.
Which we did end up with a new addition to the family.
We did end up with a new addition to the family. We told y'all we were on baby watch, and that became top priority.
Yeah.
And sweet little Anna Miles, she's
Yeah.
so beautiful.
She came into this world towards the end of the first round,
She did. She did.
right
And
around the time the Cowboys were picking.
That's right. So we're going to talk about a few of these picks because we did about what we did 3 mock drafts. Did we do 3?
Yeah, I think so. 3 or 4.
So the first few picks were interesting. We had some early trades, some different kind of trades.
There were a lot of trades. There were on draft night during the first round. There were 6 trades
That's right.
in the first round. That's not counting trades from previous deals. That's not counting the Panthers trade to move up to number 1. So yeah, that's not Russell Wilson's trade deal. That's not any of the Rams trading away picks and like the Jared Goff, Matt Stafford deal. There were just 6 picks in the first round of night 1, and I think that's, if it's not a record, it's pretty close to it.
Yeah, we had Bryce Young went off the board first, which we expected. I think we universally picked that everyone.
Absolutely,
I mean,
yeah.
it seemed to be the smart pick and the right pick for what they did. But then the Texans did some interesting things here. They picked C.J. Stroud, which we expected.
Yeah, we
knew this was gonna be a
mocked
thing.
that in our final mock
That's right.
Yeah. because that was the right move.
It was. But then they do a trade. And they end up with Will Anderson Jr. with the 3rd pick.
Yeah, they moved up from 12 to 3. Gave up quite a bit
Yes,
to
they
get
did.
Will Anderson. They gave up a 1 and a 3 next year, as well as their 3 this year, I believe.
Were you
so-
surprised at the Will Anderson pick?
I'm
Well,
not surprised at the pick since they traded all the way up to 3.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not surprised by that pick at all, because honestly, the Texans need help everywhere.
They do.
They
and-
needed a quarterback. They need a leader on that defense. J.J. Watt's not there anymore.
Yep.
Brian Cushing's been gone.
Yep.
David Clowney's been gone. So, they need a leader on that defensive front, and why not Will Anderson Jr.?
And then you had the Colts. They took Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida.
Yeah, I mean, they swerved everybody, really,
They did.
because I think you could have asked people across the board, and almost unanimously, everyone would have told you this pick's Will Levis.
Yes. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting story we'll talk about, too.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, high ceiling for Anthony Richardson, low floor.
exactly. Seattle deals a trade, and they end up with Devin Witherspoon, cornerback.
Well, this was
Devin
one of the picks
Witherspoon.
they got from the Broncos.
That's right. This
in
is the
that Russell
Broncos.
Wilson trade.
That's right.
So they take Devin Witherspoon here, which good pick. You got the top corner in the class. I mean, you can argue Christian Gonzalez, but Christian Gonzalez didn't go till like 17 in this draft. And while I like Devin Witherspoon, I'm wondering what Pete Carroll and company were thinking passing on Jalen Carter.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does. Because, I mean, we know that Jalen Carter's a game wrecker.
Yes.
Yes, he had the off-field issues, but all those off-field issues were this year. I mean, do people just think that Jalen Carter ultimately doesn't love football?
Exactly.
And he's just not going to, because, I mean, that's a personality thing. And there's a lot of guys in the NFL who make great money and are great at playing in the NFL that don't love football.
That's right.
So that's not a make or break deal.
Yeah.
But typically the guys who love football are going to work harder at it.
Exactly. The Cardinals with pick number 6 take Paris Johnson Jr.
Yeah, so the Cardinals had traded back to 12.
Yep.
And then they traded up to 6 with the Lions trading back to 12. I love the Paris Johnson Jr. pick.
Yeah,
If
a good pick.
If you're paying Kyler Murray all that money and you get Paris Johnson Jr. to protect him, plus you pick up an extra 1 in next year's draft and an extra 3 in next year's draft and an extra 3 in this year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, I think they gave up, I forget what they gave up. Maybe they gave up one of those 3s to move up with the Lions. But all in all, I like the way that the Cardinals navigated those top 12 picks there.
Oh, yeah. The Raiders took Tyree Wilson, defensive end out of Texas Tech, with the 7th pick.
I think this is a future pick. Like, Tyree Wilson was without question the second best edge rusher in this class, behind Will Anderson Jr. But I say this is a futures pick in the perspective of Chandler Jones is at the end of his career.
That's right.
You got Max Crosby, who's solid on the other end of the defensive line. Now, if you get Tyree Wilson in there and he can produce, then you have a 2-headed monster for years to come.
Number 8, Atlanta picks up Bijan Robinson right here, running back out of Texas.
For the talent, not surprised.
Oh, yeah, I'm not either.
I think we even mocked Bijan to the Falcons in our final mock.
We did. Because it seemed like a good pick for them and the weapons. It's like, if they're going to go somewhere, this is a good place.
Cordell Patterson's getting older. You can just throw Bijan in there. And it's not just that he's a great running back and he's a punisher because he's a bruiser. He's not that tall. He's like 5'11".
Yep.
But he's what, 215?
Oh, yeah. He's a stud.
But he's fast. He can run behind his pads, but he can also catch out of the backfield. He can line up in the slot or out wide. Like, I think Bijan Robinson is perfect to fill the same kind of role that Cordell Patterson's already providing that offense. And then you get to throw him out there with Drake London and Kyle Pitts, making a really good young core on that offense.
Atlanta's probably ought to be fun to watch.
It's going to be 100% contingent upon how Desmond Ridder progresses.
That's right. And we talked about Jalen Carter earlier. Well, he falls to number 9, and the Philadelphia Eagles trade up to get this kid.
Yeah, they move up 1 spot.
That's it.
They gave up a 4th-round pick to make sure that they got Jalen Carter.
That's right. It was well worth it for them, and that's a good get.
Yeah, beautiful move.
Such a good get for them.
Beautiful move for Howie Roseman. And that just the Philadelphia Bulldogs up there.
Basically what it's becoming.
It's what it's becoming, but Jalen Carter is a steal at number 9.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Number 10, the Chicago Bears take offensive tackle Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. Finally, they don't make what we would call a splashy move.
Right.
But they're trying to at least protect Fields.
And I like what they're doing because they have a full-fledged need at right tackle.
Yep.
Like, in the moment, I kind of got wrapped up on, hey, there are better tackles. But Darnell Wright's a true right tackle.
That's right.
Like, he's not going to play the left side of the line.
No, that's his position.
Like, you're bringing him in to play right tackle. Justin Fields needs somebody out there. You're trying to tell everyone that you're invested in Justin Fields, and this is a great way to start showing it. Not to mention all the draft capital they have for next year.
Exactly. Number 11, we have the Tennessee Titans taking offensive tackle Peter Skoronski.
Yeah, offensive guard Peter Skoronski. He played tackle all through college.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, most people see him as a guard.
Yeah.
That's all I've heard since this pick was made.
Yeah.
But the fact is, the Titans have a legitimate need at left tackle now that Taylor Lewan's not there.
That's right.
So I expect to see Skoronski moving around a lot this season until they find a place where he can kind of shine.
Now, next we have the Detroit Lions. Again, this is all this more trading going on. This is a pick they traded with the Cardinals.
Right.
Take them to number 12. They pick up running back Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama. This is a good get for them, too. They need a little offensive support. And what makes it good for them is what they're going to pick up here in just a little bit. I didn't like to pick it first until they made their pick at number 18.
I still don't like this pick because I mean they had a good stable of running backs already.
They did because then
They got
DeAndre Swift,
and then they picked up the Montgomery kid, David Montgomery from the Bears.
Mhm.
Like you got guys there to make this thing work. They had Jamal Williams, they let him walk.
Yeah.
But then they draft Jahmyr Gibbs and turn around and trade DeAndre Swift to the Eagles.
Yes, they did.
Another Georgia Bulldog for the Philadelphia Eagles.
They sure did.
I just don't know. Like, I feel like Jahmyr Gibbs would have been there at 18. If the Lions really wanted him that bad,
Yeah.
they could have got him at 18.
Probably still could have picked him up.
Yeah.
Because the Packers traded. They took Lucas Van Ness here at number 13, defensive end out of Iowa. Number 14, Pittsburgh Steelers take Broderick Jones, offensive tackle out of Georgia.
Yeah, that was beautiful, beautiful pick for the Steelers. He fell right in their laps, and now you got a tackle out there to protect Kenny Pickett, who came on strong towards the end of last year. You really saw him grow and develop in his rookie season. So I think Pittsburgh is one of those teams that's trending upwards.
The Jets take Will McDonald, the fourth, out of Iowa State.
Great.
Outside linebacker, good get, boy.
Yeah. He'll be that edge rusher, 3-4 outside linebacker, 4-3 defensive end. But he's tremendously talented, very versatile. I think it's a good get for the Jets. It went a little earlier than most people were mocking, but Will McDonald was one of those names that was buzzing right around the draft.
That's right. Yeah, Emmanuel Forbes, the Washington Commandos, take him, cornerback out of Mississippi State, number 16.
This was much earlier than anticipated.
Yes.
Like the fact that Christian Gonzalez was on the board
Mm-hmm.
and they passed over him because
There's what's beautiful about
the way these corners were arranged in this draft was it was Devin Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez were tier 1.
Yeah.
And then it was, not a massive gap, but a gap to get down to Deontay Banks, Emmanuel Forbes. I'm trying to think of the South Carolina kid, Cam Smith or something like that. Escapes my mind. So to see the Commanders take Emmanuel Forbes right there when what I thought was a better talent was available. But there's a lot of I think the edge goes to Forbes here in this respect. In the NFC East, you got a lot of big playmakers at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Just all over the division. So you need a guy who's willing to go out there and hit somebody. And Emmanuel Forbes is that guy. He's also a ball hawk.
Yeah.
He's got to put some size on, though, because at 166 pounds, he's not going to hold up in the NFL.
Well, the Patriots said, you know what? We're going to go up and take Christian Gonzalez right here. And they do that very thing with the next pick.
Yeah.
Number 17.
Great Bill Belichick type move there. Go get your guy. The talent's available. Belichick's a skilled defensive backs coach.
Yep.
Although it's weird because Bill Belichick, for all of his ability to put players in the best spots to succeed, traditionally has not been great at drafting.
No. A lot of theirs comes from
a lot of theirs
free
are
agency and trades and things like that. And
Brady was an aberration.
Yes.
Right. The fact that happened. But since then.
And that was never intended to be their quarterback of the future. He just showed that, oh my God, this kid can play. What happened?
He's outplaying our all-pro quarterback that we had.
Right.
And then you had Gronk, which was a success. And Aaron Hernandez, say what you want to about him, I'll agree.
Yeah.
But as a
On
football player,
yep,
that was a successful pick.
That's right.
So like there's a few great picks scattered in there, but he's been throwing darts at the board for 25 years. But I think Christian Gonzalez, though, is going to work out, and I think that one will end up being a great pick.
Yeah, we talked about this a minute ago. At number 18, the Lions take Jack Campbell, inside linebacker out of Iowa.
Again, Jack Campbell, one of those guys I thought could go in the first round. Thought he was more of a day 2 guy. Like if he went at the top of the second round or the early part of the second round,
surprise you.
I wouldn't have been surprised. Or late, if he went at the end of the first round, I wouldn't have been surprised. I was just shocked to see him there at 18, but I think what the Jahmyr Gibbs and the Jack Campbell pick signify for the Detroit Lions is there's a very particular type of dude that
That's
they
right,
want
they're
playing
looking
for them.
That's right.
There's a particular type of ball player that they want, and they went out and they got those guys in this draft.
Yep.
Because you saw them in their war room, they were pumped.
Oh yeah, they were excited.
They
about
knew
these
they
picks.
crushed it.
Yep.
And we'll see this fall when everything gets out there on the field. But Jack Campbell, not the best athlete at linebacker, but his instincts are top notch. He's very
right.
Luke Kuechly like in that respect.
Number 19, the Bucs take Kalijah Cansey, defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh.
I mean, really for the Bucs at this point, defensively, they have a lot of issues.
Oh yeah,
They need a lot of help. Last year, offensively, they were just injured all year. They had a solid offensive line. They were just hurt.
That's right.
They have a great receiving core. They were just hurt. So maybe adding Kalijah Cansey to that mix will help some of that run stuffing. Maybe he can generate some pressure up the middle for that defensive front.
Number 20, we had a run on wide receivers. It begins right here with Seattle taking Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver out of Ohio State.
Yeah, we thought Jackson Smith and Jigba would be the first one gone. We just didn't think he would last 20.
I know, we expected him kind of earlier.
Yeah, we called for Seattle to take a wide receiver right here in our final mock, but we already had Smith and Jigba off the board. So for for Seattle to get Jackson Smith and Jigba at this point and pair him with DK and with Tyler Lockett, huge get for Pete Carroll. Huge win for Geno Smith as well.
Yes, absolutely it is. Then the Chargers took Quentin Johnston, wide receiver out of TCU at pick number 22. 21 technically, I guess.
Yeah, the Los Angeles Chargers were on one in this draft. They drafted 3 TCU players.
Yep.
And it started with Quentin Johnston. He's probably one of the bigger bodied receivers in this draft. Him and Jonathan Mingo. But Quentin Johnston goes right here. He's paired up with another big body receiver and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. So Chargers now have a 3-headed wide receiver monster. And I think after this year, you're going to see one of those high dollar wide receivers, probably Keenan Allen, moving on.
At number 22, we had Zay Flowers, wide receiver out of Boston College, go to the Ravens.
Yeah. Speedy, undersized wide receiver. Yeah, he probably could play outside, but why would you have him outside when he could just be a matchup nightmare from the slot?
Yep.
His change of direction is ridiculous. So you have him and OBJ and Mark Andrews on the same team. Like that's going to be hard to contend with over there in Baltimore. Fully contingent upon everyone being healthy.
That's
on
right.
that team.
At number 23, the Vikings take wide receiver out of USC, Jordan Addison.
This is weird. I saw Daniel Jeremiah mock draft this exact pick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like he was on it. He actually nailed a lot of his picks. But Jordan Addison going up there and joining KJ Osborne and of course Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook in that offense. There's reasons to be optimistic about what Jordan Addison can bring to the table. I mean, this dude won the Blitnikoff Award 2 years ago at Pitt before he went to USC. And now he comes in and he doesn't have to be the number one because everyone knows Justin Jefferson's the guy.
That's right.
So all the pressure is really off of Jordan Addison.
Yeah,
all he's got to do out there and play his game.
That's right.
And rack up the numbers.
At number 24, the New York Giants take Deontay Banks, cornerback out of Maryland right here.
Yeah, good. Absolutely good pick for the Giants. They're thinking the same way the Commanders are. There's a lot of really good wide receivers that we have to contend with in our division. So why not give ourselves some insurance against it?
At 25, so the Buffalo Bills trade up because they're thinking Cowboys are looking tight ends. Dalton Kincaid is
the Giants
right
traded up first.
Well, they did, but the Bills were thinking, oh look, here's the Cowboys. They're looking at tight ends. Is this Dalton Kincaid sitting there? We need to go ahead and take this kid because Cowboys are going to take him. They select Dalton Kincaid at this pick at number 25. Do you like the pick here for them?
I like the pick for Buffalo. I don't like the pick for my boy Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to run 11 personnel.
Yeah.
They're going to do.
That's
right. And with these two guys, they could possibly run that Gronk Hernandez type offense that just runs through your tight ends And oh, by the way, you still have Stephon Diggs out there
Exactly.
to be an absolute nightmare on the outside.
And that brings us to pick number 26. The Dallas Cowboys select Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle out of Michigan.
Conflicted on it.
I love the pick.
I mean, personally, as a Cowboys fan, I'm a little conflicted.
Yeah.
It 100% addresses a position of need.
It does.
And I'm with it. He's a big body.
He is.
He's massive.
Yes.
This
dude's a load.
So, at the combine, they do the bench press and it's 225 pounds. How many reps can you get?
Yeah.
If a guy gets 25 reps of 225, like, dude, you did a great
you're,
job.
You're a beast.
You're strong.
That's
You're
right.
a big, strong man. Mozzie Smith did 325 25 times.
That's right. That's how strong this dude is.
225 is nothing for him.
That's right.
They would have been there all night if he was doing 225 on the bench.
Like he's going to go in there and handle people in the middle. And the Cowboys have needed that. I mean, I love Odigizua, but I think this is a guy that can come in and do some damage where they need it and free up some space for
Mozzie will clog holes.
He will.
He will just absolutely eat up space in the interior of the offensive line. Maybe Osa can slide through. Maybe D-Law or Micah Parsons. It looks like he's moving to defensive end full time.
That's right.
So you have them coming off the edge. Maybe you can fill in, or with Mozzie Smith taking up that much space too, you can also put your linebackers in a position where they can sneak up and really, thump any kind of running back that's trying to come through right there too.
Exactly.
It's just my problem was there was another Smith that was hanging around here that I think is a much better player.
Oh, Nolan.
Oh, Nolan.
Nolan was still on the board.
He was still on the board at 26. A guy who is consensus top 15.
Yes.
Still there. He had a pec injury last year. It caused him to miss the last half of the season, but still, that guy was a productive nightmare. Similar build kind of to Micah Parsons.
That's right.
He's a little shorter than Micah, but they're about the same weight. I figure D-Law is getting older. Maybe you kick D-Law inside at D-tackle. He's played it before. And have Nolan and Micah on the edges. That could be something.
That could be tough.
But they passed. They go with Mozzie Smith. So I think there's reason to be optimistic about it.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to kill this pick. I get it.
Yeah. Number 27, Jacksonville Jaguars take deep offensive tackle Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma here.
I love the pick. Getting a tackle to protect Trevor Lawrence, especially after you just lost Jawan Taylor. But what I really love here is the Jaguars had pick 24.
Yeah.
They traded back one spot with the Giants, and then they traded back 2 spots with Buffalo.
That's right. They
got all this draft capital and still, I think, ended up with the exact guy that they were going after.
Yep.
So I think it was a win-win for Jacksonville there.
The Bengals take Miles Murphy, defensive end out of Clemson at number 28.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think Miles Murphy had a tweener grade on him, late first round to anywhere in the second round kind of guy. They really felt like they needed to address it, so they did. Good on them. I don't hate it for them.
Number 29, the Saints take Brian Breesy, defensive tackle out of Clemson.
This is the one. This one kind of bothers me a little bit. Like, most people have him as a first round guy.
Yeah.
I think ultimately he's a second round talent. But, New Orleans has it's so weird because New Orleans is a talented team.
Yeah.
Like the way they're constructed, they've got a lot of dogs on that squad, but they just have not been putting it together. And maybe Brian Breesy is one of those guys who can just come in and start contributing day one. You feel a lot better about that whole process.
And then the Philadelphia Eagles take Nolan Smith, offensive outside linebacker out of Georgia.
The Philadelphia Bulldogs are going to Philadelphia Bulldog.
They are.
They take 2 Georgia players in the first round and trade for another former Georgia Bulldog on day 2. Tremendous get for the Eagles, man.
Yeah, they really
can't knock it. As a Cowboys fan, I hate it. I hate it so much.
But you love the way the organization has constructed their program. I mean, they have built something here.
They didn't reach.
Nope.
I mean, they moved up one spot to make sure they got Jalen Carter.
That's right, because they wanted him.
Yeah, they gave up a 4th round pick. So what? I'll give up. I will give
long.
you every 4th round pick I've got for the next 30 years for Jalen Carter.
That's right. Great pick for them.
Great pick for them. They only had to move up one spot, give up a 4. And not even this year's 4. I think it was next year's 4. And then at 30, Nolan Smith just falls in your lap.
You're like, okay.
All right. Yeah. And we saw the Eagles kind of turn around Hassan Reddick's career. He was an undersized linebacker who started off with the Arizona Cardinals. It never really worked. I think he went up to Detroit. Now he's in Philly. Had the best year of his career. Went to a Pro Bowl. Nolan Smith's kind of the same build as Hassan Reddick. So maybe you can see some more production coming out of Nolan Smith, and maybe the Eagles, I think, absolutely crushed this draft. I mean, because in the 4th round, they got Georgia corner Keely Ringo, a guy that a lot of people thought, especially early in the draft process, might be a first-round guy. Then as the process wore on, they thought he's definitely a day 2 guy.
Yeah.
Whether it's 2nd round, maybe early 3rd round. He lasted till late in the 4th, and they took him there.
And then finally, the Kansas City Chiefs take Kansas State defensive end Felix, and I'm not saying the last name.
Yeah.
You can have fun with
the edge
that.
rusher there.
Yeah.
I would have to look at the name to pronounce it. Ndike, right?
Yep.
That's it. Great Kansas State player, not the best player on that team, but hey, good enough to be a 1st-round pick and get that 5th-year option.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and that was how the 1st round kind of shook out there. I mean, I thought it was
interesting.
It was a very interesting.
I think a lot of it played out in ways that you think, okay, that makes sense. I can see that. I can see that. And then there was some stuff that you're just like, this is happening. I mean, we saw Nolan Smith, who we said was a top 15 talent.
Yep.
We saw him fall to the last 2 picks of the 1st round.
That's right.
Before he went off the board to Philadelphia. We saw Will Levis, who was mocked to go by most people at number 4 to the Colts, falls completely out of the 1st round.
Oh, yeah.
Completely. Only to get picked up by their division rival, the Tennessee Titans, early in day 2.
That's right.
They traded up to get him. They're like, Levis is there. We're getting.
That's right.
So the Colts will have a new quarterback in Anthony Richardson. The Titans will most likely have a new quarterback in Will Levis, barring Tannehill just balling out. I think it's pretty significant indictment on Malik Willis, though, the 3rd-round pick from last year's draft.
Oh, yeah.
For the Titans. And they just think he's not progressing, I guess.
And there you go.
And you saw him in action last year. He looked like he didn't belong, or he wasn't ready.
That's right.
And apparently it just hasn't gotten better.
Well, and we talk about this all the time because it's important, because especially if you're like just a college fan and you don't watch pro football, because there's a lot of people like that who just watch college football and then they got,
because there's way more college teams than there are pro teams.
That's right. And
so it's very easy to not have a pro team in your region, your area.
Is. And then when their guy goes to the pros and doesn't do well, it's all the pros' fault. Well, they're just not given an opportunity. Well, it's not really true. It's just the competition across the board is far better and more elite in the pros. That's why they call it the pros.
Yeah, everybody in the NFL is the best of the best.
It is. Even your bench warmer guys are still better than most guys in a college football program.
Your bench warmer guys in the NFL were the stars of their college football teams.
That's right.
Your practice squad guys in the NFL were the stars of their college football teams.
So the competition is completely different with what you're getting. Skill set alone just doesn't get it. You've got to be able to process information quick at a whole different level.
Quick.
It is insane. I was looking at the Cowboys. I love the Overshown pick. I'm so glad that they took Overshown here because I love the kid.
I'm a big Overshown fan. I am not a huge fan of the way he plays. Right.
That's what's going to be interesting. That's why I'm glad he's with Dan Quinn, though.
He came to Texas as a safety.
Yes.
Quickly, it was a very crowded safety room. Caden Stearns, who's now with the Broncos, trying to think of the other safety at the time. But anyway, Overshown moves to linebacker, and he will light you up.
Oh, yeah.
Make no mistakes. He will hit you so hard, your bones rattle.
Oh, he's going to deck you.
The problem is his instincts are terrible, and he goes the wrong way quite often.
He's going to be one of those guys they're going to have to. He's got all the talent in the world, but they are going to have to get him NFL ready.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the pick. I love the pick, but they got Belemi Fehoko, defensive end out of San Jose State. Don't hate the pick. Really, we'll see what happens there.
I just don't know enough about it.
Exactly.
that's kind of where I'm at with that.
But the feel-good story of the whole draft was Deuce Vaughn.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that was the greatest thing.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Deuce Vaughn, running back at Kansas State, he's all of 5'5". His father, Chris, is one of the lead scouts for the Dallas Cowboys. Yep. And so the Cowboys would turn in their picks, and Chris would go out in the hallway, and he would call Deuce up just to check on him, see how he's doing. How's the draft process going for him?
Because Deuce Vaughn's very talented running back. Make no mistake. This dude's explosive.
If you watched Kansas State play football last year, best player on the field.
Oh, yeah. Dude's a beast.
The only reason that Kansas State was nearly as good as they were is Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce's problem was his height.
His problem is that he's vertically challenged, which honestly I feel like is his best tool.
It was his best tool. One of them.
Well, Darren Sproles.
Darren Sproles another one.
Same deal.
Yeah.
You're that short, you get lost.
Yes, you do.
Behind that offensive
big,
line.
Huge guys. There are holes in there that open up for you that don't open up for everybody else.
Exactly. So what happened here was that eventually the Cowboys are up on the clock. They're trying to decide who the pick's going to be. And Jerry Jones turns to Chris Vaughn and tells him to call Deuce.
Yep.
He's like, call him. And so Chris calls up his son, Deuce, and he calls him on the war room phone. He's like, hey, buddy, hey, listen, this is Dad. My phone wasn't working. But listen, and he gets choked up when he drops his next line. It's like, how would you like to come to work with me next week?
Oh, man, it was great. Was that not great?
And Deuce laughs and says, I wouldn't mind that at all. The whole room pops. Everybody's hugging, cheering. Of course, Chris is emotional train wreck at that point. Yeah. But yeah, definitely the feel-good story of the draft.
It was
for
awesome.
sure.
Hey, what's up, guys out there? Sorry, just checking the chat now. Hey, Carl. Hey, Terry. Hey, Taylor. What's up, dude? I got to get a hold of you, Terry. Taylor, by the way. I want you on our Undefined Voices show that we're about to launch. I want to talk to you guys about your band and all that good stuff. So I will be getting with you, by the way. So, but yeah, it was just a great story. I mean, I still get chills just thinking about it because it was. If you haven't seen the video, you got to watch it. I mean, even if you're not a Cowboys fan, if you're a fan of human beings and just that emotional content, father, son,
everyone's posted it.
It's great.
SportsCenter's account has posted it. ESPN's main account has posted it. And the NFL has posted it. Of course, the Cowboys have posted it. Like, that video is around if you want to see it. But
one of the best things about it, too, is like when Jerry Jones said, you 100% earned this phone call. It wasn't just given to you because your dad's sitting here working for us, so we could have made this pick any time. But
they picked him in the 6th round.
Yeah, you've earned the phone call.
So huge get for the Cowboys. And the best thing about Deuce is, like, he really shines as a kick returner.
Yep.
Something the Cowboys have been lacking. Like, I say lacking. Like, they had CD do it, but you don't want CD getting hurt. You don't want
your main.
You had Tony Pollard doing it, but Tony Pollard's coming off an injury, and now he's your lead back.
Yep.
So you don't want him doing it. Deuce Vaughn makes all the sense in the world.
He does. And this guy, I was excited about it. I love the whole thing about it. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool to see. It tells you that there's a lot of cool things happening that can happen in the NFL. There's stories that you don't get to see because we're all caught up in all the other things, but it kind of shows you also how they do things behind the scenes. You got to see a lot of that stuff. In that these people who you think are just robots up there just making decisions half-heartedly are just like, there's a very big human element to a lot of this. If you don't think it means something to a lot of these people, then you are sadly mistaken.
Yeah, and I feel like every year there's more and more war room, phone call audio that's coming out.
Yeah.
You see it all the time with the Cowboys. You didn't see it as much from other teams, but I think
what's up, Marvin?
With the rise and the prominence of the NFL draft, which, hey, that's hats off to the NFL creating the NFL Network. That's what really drummed up all this attention for the NFL draft over the last 20 years. I think this will be the 20th year of the NFL Network this fall. And so by doing that, now more and more teams are letting you in on the war room camera footage and all that, and showing you these phone calls and how it kind of goes down with these guys. Like, we heard it a few years ago with DK Metcalf when Pete Carroll called him from the Seahawks. And, he broke down crying and said, what took y'all so long?
Oh, I swear.
When he got drafted in the 2nd round.
I swear, which is cool.
And speaking of 2nd round Ole Miss wide receivers, I mean, Jonathan Mingo going early in the 2nd round to the Panthers.
Yeah.
So Bryce Young gets drafted by the Panthers.
Yep.
They went out, they got him a big body weapon in Jonathan Mingo, who will team up with Adam Thielen in that offense.
All of a sudden, the Carolina Panthers offense is taking a huge step
They brought
forward.
over Miles Sanders from the Eagles at running back. This team that looked like they were rebuilding might be rebuilding a little bit faster than what we all anticipated.
I think so. They made a lot of great moves. And kind of like we mocked, except we had it in the first round, the Pittsburgh Steelers do indeed draft with the number 1 pick in the second round, Joey Porter Jr.
Did you
cornerback?
Did you see the video of Joey Porter Sr. talking to Jr. in the green room?
I didn't see that.
Okay, so basically, Joey Porter Jr. was there in Kansas City.
Yeah.
So night 1 of the draft, he's in the green room. And the whole first round goes by, and him and Will Levis are still sitting there. And so he was very visibly upset. He was kind of crying. And his dad's just like, look, you're going to get picked.
Yeah.
There's no way around that.
Yeah. You're getting drafted, buddy.
You're getting drafted. You're going to the NFL. But all they've done now is made you more focused, more motivated, more determined. This is nothing but motivation. That's all this is. And the right team's going to call you. It'll be the right situation. And lo and behold,
it's his old team, man.
It's his dad's old team there in Pittsburgh. It's the first pick of the second round. I think that's why the Steelers probably, if they wanted to, they could have traded up into the first round if they really wanted that 5th-year option.
Yeah.
But the Steelers knew they had the first pick of the second round.
Yeah.
So they had no incentive really to move up because they knew that the Chiefs more than likely weren't taking a corner.
That's right.
And I'm sure teams tried to call them early, and they were probably told pretty quickly, hey, we're not moving this pick.
Exactly.
Call Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, it was, and that was, again, another great story coming out of the draft was that. That was really cool. And there's a lot, and that's what's awesome about it. Again, the draft was fun.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are setting themselves up nicely. It may not pay off this year.
Yeah.
But they're trending in the right direction. I think we're going to see Cleveland, move back down as the cellar dwellers. The real problem is that you got Lamar Jackson in that division for another 5 years. You know that Joe Burrow's getting a long-term deal done some point in the next 2 years from Cincinnati. So ultimately, it's going to depend on Kenny Pickett and how well he can develop going forward. Like I said, there was a lot to be impressed with from him last year, especially towards the end of the season. So if he can continue that trend. Oh, and the Steelers also got Darnell Washington.
Yes, they did.
The 8'12" tight end out of Georgia.
They had 2 picks in the second round, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, they had Joey Porter Jr. and Darnell Washington. So great picks for the Steelers. I absolutely love what they did. The Broderick Jones pick. Who else? They took someone before Washington, though.
They took Keanu Benton, defensive tackle out of Wisconsin.
Yeah. Man, solid draft.
Another
for the
draft
Steelers,
for Steelers.
man. Loved it. Hate the Steelers. Loved their draft.
I love the head coach, Mike Tomlin. I just love.
It's great.
Dude's a great dude. He's the one that's kind of turned me around on the Steelers as far as because I love the way he leads. I love his mentality.
Absolutely.
I love that he has been one of the few coaches to weather the NFL coaching storm because he's been able to build a solid program that they may not be winning every year, but they're always competitive and always in the conversation and they're fun to watch because you never know what you're going to get out of Pittsburgh. But it's always going to be competitive, and I think that's what we see out of them. So
where did there was a wide receiver from Tennessee, Cedric Tillman. Where'd he end up? The Browns?
Let me look and see because I've just pulled up.
I want to say he ended up in the AFC North somewhere.
Yeah, he ended up with the Browns. He was with the Browns. That was their right back. It was 11th pick in the 3rd round.
That was their first pick, the 11th pick of the 3rd round.
That was it.
But hey, you get Cedric Tillman right there, though. That is a good pick.
I mean, 6'3", 213. I mean, guy's lengthy.
He
runs. He's got a great route tree.
Pull up the Giants draft class because I think they got someone I really like too. They got Deontay Banks,
John Michael Smith, Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah,
wide receiver.
Their first 3 picks are solid.
Yeah,
John Michael Schmidt's the best center in this class. Now he's got to deal with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis on the Eagles
Yep.
at the same time. Like,
Oh.
that's unfortunate. Hate that for you. He's got to deal with Mozzie Smith and Osa Digizua.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I hate it for you. He's got to deal with that front line for the Commanders if they're
That's right.
healthy. Like, I
If
hate
they're
it for
healthy,
you.
they're good.
That's nightmare for John Michael Schmidt. But getting Jalen Hyatt and Deontay Banks, at skill position spots, that's huge. Really liked what the Giants did early in that draft.
Yeah, no doubt. So draft was fun. Love the draft. Now that just means the next few weeks are going to be a little downtime for us.
It's the time. Rookie mini camps are starting.
Yeah.
Several of them are fully underway. Other ones are getting going. But, that's just it's basically orientation.
That's right.
For the NFL is really all it is.
So there's been this thing with Andrew Luck, right? The Commanders had supposedly shown some interest in Andrew Luck. Jim Irsay has made it clear that Andrew Luck is off limits.
Yeah,
if he's coming back to the NFL, he's coming back to the Colts.
Absolutely.
So y'all can hang that up.
Good on you, Jim Irsay.
That's right. So that's his only that's his only option.
I don't think Andrew Luck would want to. He's been out so long now.
He really has.
I think he's been out of football for 5 years.
Yeah. So what, 2019?
Yeah. So this will be the 5th year. I don't see Andrew Luck coming back.
I think he's pretty happy with what he's doing.
And he's also slimmed down a lot. He's real skinny now.
Yeah. He's not. I don't think football is in what he's worried about at the moment. This is another thing too. Justin Fields earns his degree from Ohio State, by the way.
Saw that.
I love seeing that. I just think that's cool.
Players who still take classes while they're in the league.
They're going back and getting their degrees and getting finished. I love that whole thing about it. I think that's great. And good on him. And earned his degree in consumer and family financial services. That's which is cool because he doesn't have to.
Well, if he's in financial services, man's about to build a hell of a portfolio.
Yes, he is.
In the NFL.
Yes, he is. Yep. So it's been interesting. It's been fun. I'm ready to see what happens with the rest of the NFL. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers' new home is now out in New Jersey.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess we have talked about that at one point, but that feels so long ago. Aaron Rodgers, now quarterback of the Jets. He's been out there getting some reps in with Garrett Wilson and Tyler Conklin and company. I guess the verdict's really out on how well they'll play, but with Aaron Rodgers, your chances always improve.
Well,
no way around it.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I think it's going to be interesting to see what he's able to do out there. And because we talked about them getting Will McDonough the fourth. I know you're pretty high on Will McDonough the fourth when we were talking about mocking him. Depending on the spaces that we were talking about.
Don't know if I was that high on him.
Well, that's what I was saying. So he was a little higher than what you were mocking him at when we were talking about him when we get later on in the draft. But they still picked up another center, another offensive tackle, Carter Warren, out of Pittsburgh. And I don't know a lot about Israel Abanaconda, I guess, out of Pittsburgh, running back out of Pittsburgh.
A really, really good running back in a really bad offense. Or an offense that's not as running back friendly.
Yeah.
You could have made the argument that outside of just Bijan Robinson, Bijan's an outlier.
Yeah.
He's a just crazy running back prospect.
That's right.
I think if you put Jahmyr Gibbs in Pitt's offense, he wouldn't have been as successful. But if you put Israel in Jahmyr Gibbs's Alabama offense, he would have had the same numbers, if not better.
Oh yeah, yeah. Which says a lot. So there gonna be some things to look out for this offseason. I'm excited about it.
So I want to pivot over to college football real fast.
What?
So OU and Texas have officially gotten the okay from the regents for their 2024 move to the SEC.
So this will be their officially the last season.
Officially the last season in the Big 12, which we've known, but now it's official.
Yep.
And I don't know if you remember when Colorado got, or when Deion Sanders got the Colorado job as their head coach. I talked about they released some footage of Deion meeting with the team for the first time.
That's right.
And basically telling them that he's bringing his luggage with him.
That's right.
And it's Louis, talking about all these transfers that want to come play for him.
Yep.
He said, so if you are one of those guys who aren't going to make it, there's the door. We'll walk you to it.
Exactly.
So since Deion Sanders has taken over Colorado, more than 60 guys, more than 60 players have left that program.
Yep.
Including legacy players, high. I mean, I know the star system is kind of overblown, but 4 or 5 star players have transferred out. But hey, Deion's turning it around, man. All eyes are on Colorado right now.
It really is, which is just how primetime likes it anyway. I mean, there's been a lot of guys leaving that program, but there's been a lot of guys transferring in as well. This will be a brand new Colorado football team across the board from what their fans saw last year.
Wow. So University of Texas president Jay Hartzell said Thursday that he'll attend the SEC's annual meetings later this month with the goal of building relationships, not immediately trying to flex Longhorns muscle into their new league. As we've already talked about, Texas and OU have they'll be leaving the Big 12 after the 2023-2024 season. But Hartzell said he'll be watching how the conference addresses its football scheduling dilemma, whether it's 8 or 9 conference games, and the potential impact on future media rights contracts. The SEC meets May 30th in Destin, Florida. So SEC Media Days will be in full effect. Actually, it was SEC Media Days a couple years ago where we first heard the news that OU and Texas were leaving the Big 12 to come to the SEC.
Exactly. No, that's true.
So it's not like news can't break there because it has happened before.
Well, and you're 100% correct. And it's just, I think of, it is going to be interesting when they're officially in the SEC. And, Oklahoma, Texas, the whole dynamic. What was the SEC going to do about, what are they going to be doing about alignment? Where are they going to put them at? Have they said yet? Because I haven't seen anything on that.
I mean, ideas are still floating around whether they're going to do a 6-3 or a 3+6 kind of schedule, or if they're going to do pods or what. They haven't really broken down how they're going to make this thing work. Because if you do 3 yearly rivals, that's the idea. You have 3 yearly rivals, and then you play 6 other teams every year.
That's right.
Basically, the idea of any of these systems is to get it to where, because now that the SEC is 16 teams, you have to try to make it to where in your time on campus, let's say you come into Texas as a player. The idea is that if you play at Texas for 4 years, you will have hosted and played at every team in the conference.
That's right.
So you will play in Lexington, Kentucky. You will play in the Swamp. You'll play in Athens. You'll play in Tuscaloosa, Baton Rouge, Oxford, so on and so forth. So I think but the problem is going to be trying to figure out whose rivalries are going to still be intact after this, right?
No, very true.
Because, I mean, Texas comes in and everyone wants to say, oh, well, Texas's rival should be A&M, OU, and Arkansas. And as a lifelong Texas fan growing up, that makes sense.
Yep.
I'm with it. But for teams that are really good, that are kind of tweeners, like Alabama and LSU, how are their rivalries going to shake out? Because, for Bama, they're going to have Auburn.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. They're going to have Tennessee. Guaranteed. Who's the other one? Is there other rival LSU? Is it Ole Miss? I think Ole Miss looks at that as a rivalry. Alabama doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I mean, and then for LSU, who's it going to be? They hate Ole Miss.
Yep.
So that's one of them. They hate Florida because of some scheduling conflicts from a decade ago.
That's right.
And then will there be room for Bama?
This is going to be interesting.
Like, how is this going to shake out? For Ole Miss, if Ole Miss is already, they're guaranteed to have state.
That's right.
So did they get LSU still? Possibly not Bama. Would they get Arkansas? So that's going to be interesting. Or they could just do the very, very simple scheduling resolution and just do a little realignment and make your conference make sense geographically.
Absolutely.
Move Alabama and Auburn over to the east. Have Texas and Oklahoma come in to the west. Move Missouri to the west. I think you'd have to move one other team to the east to make it balance, but
still,
they could make that work.
Yes, they could. All right, it's time for love it. Got it uploaded. Got the graphics uploaded. Time for the Drizzler Awards, baby. So we can do this for anything.
Okay.
Whether it's from the draft, college football news, XFL, whatever you want to do here. I think I'm sticking mine with the draft. Since we've talked about the draft ad nauseum in this show, it makes sense to do it here. What you got here?
So my Drizzler goes to the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Not because I don't like the players. I actually really do like the players. I just don't like where you took the players at.
Yes.
Like, they could have traded both of those picks back. Like, they could have, honestly, could have stayed put at 18, got Jahmyr Gibbs there. Mm-hmm. They could have moved that number 12 pick. I mean, they could have traded that back into the 20s for sure and got probably a first-round pick next year because of how far back they're moving. At least a 2, Could have got more draft capital for the future of your team and still probably got a Jack Campbell.
Well, I don't think there's any question did they do the right thing?
Probably, but they also could have done the right thing a little bit better, is what I'm saying.
I was sitting here looking at some of these things.
Maybe I'm splitting hairs, but I just don't like the way they handled who they picked.
Oh, exactly. And I think that's really the kicker behind some of this. I'm following the draft, and look, you look at a lot of this, and nobody had a really stinker of a draft. I don't, as far as how a lot of this shook out and who had the picks here, right? And as far as who they selected, I didn't think there was really something that was just like, oh my God, what is anybody even thinking with this pick? That being said, it's gonna sound kind of crazy, but the Indianapolis Colts taking Richardson, not because I thought Will Levis should have gone at 4, but I think he's the better quarterback from a technical aspect of it than I think Anthony Richardson is. I think he's a better fit for their offensive style. Now, that being said, is Anthony Richardson a better athlete? Absolutely. He absolutely is. But I think Will Levis is probably the better quarterback at the NFL level from what it's going to be. It kind of goes back to what we talked about. We're talking about sheer athleticism, being the better athlete on the field. Anthony Richardson, sure, he can run around everybody in college football. NFL football is totally different.
Absolutely.
You got to have it between the ears. And I think that's where Will Levis can shine more so than Anthony Richardson here. So while I think they went for the splashy, again, this is when you're talking about the combine, this is where the combine can change how a team perceives themselves.
Yeah, and at his pro day, Anthony Richardson launched a moon ball and hit the top of the building.
He did.
Granted, kind of a low ceiling for an indoor facility.
And that's true.
But
still,
I don't know. I just hope the Colts didn't find themselves in a situation where they got too wrapped up in the eye test.
Exactly. And I worry that's what they've done.
Because ultimately, Anthony Richardson wasn't that good at the college level.
No.
I know, granted, he only had one season as a starter, but his numbers were not good.
And this is what you're basing a number 4 pick on.
Right.
I mean, in a draft where there's a lot of talent available that we know can make a difference on your football team.
But I think Will Levis's personality kind of turned teams off.
And I think there's that too. And I think that's exactly what happened. Well, we talked about the Drizzle, so we also got to give out. Big Kahunas, baby. So who was your shiner in this whole thing?
All right. So my big kahuna, I'm going to shift away from the NFL draft here.
All right.
I'm going Arlington Renegades and head coach Bob Stoops.
There you go.
They're my big kahunas because at 4-6, realistically, they shouldn't have made the playoffs.
Louis Perez out there doing
that.
things.
That spot should have gone to the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yep.
Like AJ McCarron should have been playing 2
That's
weekends ago. But yeah, Luis Perez came out there. You know, he wasn't even on this team at the beginning of the year. He was with the Vipers.
That's right.
Like, Arlington beat them in week 1 in Arlington.
That's right.
But Perez came on. The offense felt a little different this past weekend. He throws 3 tuds in the first half. So good get for Arlington. Look, I mean, did they probably overachieve?
Oh, yeah.
Feels like it.
Sure.
Feels like it. But I feel comfortable about their chances to at least make this game against DC competitive.
That's right.
So for them going from 4-6 to being the South Division champion and playing for the XFL title, they're my big kahunas this week.
Yeah, I think that's a good call there. My big kahuna split. And I got to tell you, I was impressed with. I thought the Texans had a very great first round, without question. Smart move. You got 2 absolute studs, I think, and with the top 3 picks right there. You got CJ Stroud, and then you got Will Anderson Jr. That's a great package to have. So good job for the Texans here, trying to make a big splash and actually make a difference. Not just even splashy. It's making a difference in your football team.
Absolutely.
They needed a place to start. But the other one is the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, you get Jalen Carter and you got Nolan Smith. I mean, great moves by that team that's already a powerhouse. And they just keep adding more weapons to this team now on the defensive side of the ball. Are they going to be in the Super Bowl next year?
Good chance.
Top money right now is yes.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're going to have to be an absolute team to knock this one off. It's going to be tough.
They got rid of a lot of high-dollar contracts and replaced it with great young talent.
That's
Not
right.
just good young talent, great young talent.
And I think other teams should take notice because I think this is what the Eagles have done also is look at other teams and go, how do we keep our team rotating? You get rid of overpriced talent.
Yeah.
You keep
Trade it away, man.
You
Get
keep
those
a couple
picks.
of your main guys that you know you're going to have for long term and rotate other guys in and out with other playmakers who can step in and fill that role. It's a great blueprint. It's worked for them.
I mean, shout out to the Eagles for accumulating multiple first-round picks.
Yeah, they were very smart. Very, very well done. I mean, kudos to their office, their head coaches, all the input. I mean, they pulled one off, and they've been doing it. I think Philadelphia's going to be one of those teams where you're going to see them in the mix for a while now. I think their leadership is just set up for it. So, kudos to them. Been a great show. Appreciate you guys and gals tuning in today for this edition. Getting ready for you got to get some music for the Drizzling awards. I do. I've been thinking about that too when I saw the deal and it didn't play anything. I was like, okay, I
toilet
gotta get music
effects.
for it. Yeah. I'm going to get something put on there. So I'm still playing around with some of that stuff. So we're going to get there and we're going to see. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Bottom card booking coming up here shortly. So get ready for that. Got a lot of stuff to talk about in that world. Because again, it's been a minute. If you join us for After Dark, son, let me tell you something right now. After Dark is taking off, buddy. It's taking off. So join us for Bottom Card Booking. We'll see you guys in a few. Thank you for turning in to Undefined Blitz. We'll be back here next Monday.